Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to dive into exactly how you're going to be investing in the stock market during Trump's presidency. This is perfect for if you're just trying to get started and you don't know where to begin. So here is what we're going to cover in the next 10 minutes. First, we are going to understand the big picture and understand how economic factors can impact the stock market. Then we will discuss the most important industries that are likely going to thrive under Trump's policies. And lastly, I will reveal the specific stocks that you should keep an eye on to make the most out of these opportunities. Here's the deal. The S&P 500 has hit all-time highs for 9 consecutive days straight. This is the type of momentum that you will not see for another decade. But we're also less than 60 days away from Inauguration Day, which is the second event that could shake up the markets in a major way. So if you missed your chance to invest during the election, you have one last chance to prepare before the Inauguration Day. So if you want to do this right, pay close attention because these next 10 minutes could be the key to setting yourself up for long-term financial success. And here's my promise to you. If you stick around until the end, I will share the top stocks I believe that you should watch closely under Trump's presidency. So let's get started. So here's what you need to know about Trump's policies and how it's going to affect the stock market. The first big thing are the tax cuts. So Trump is planning to decrease corporate taxes, which could definitely boost the company profits. If companies make more profit, they're obviously going to lead to higher stock prices. But also keep in mind when the taxes are going to be lower, that could also mean higher government debt, which could also push up interest rates. So this could also make borrowing more expensive for businesses. So this kind of might just balance it out. Second will be the tariffs and trading policies. So Trump has talked about imposing tariffs on imports, which drive up goods on taxes for imports to up to 60% on goods from China. So while this is very good to protect domestic manufacturers who are going to produce all the goods inside the US, it could also raise prices for consumers. Which, if the prices increase, that means inflation will also increase. And if that's the case, the Federal Reserve might increase in the interest rate, which could create a lot of market volatility inside the stock market. The third thing will be also labor market changes, which means honestly, you guys know like Donald Trump is very strict on immigration policies, which could lead to labor shortages in certain industries, which will also push wages to go higher. This is great for workers because their salaries are going to be higher, but it's also going to be challenging for businesses who are dependent on cheap labor, like agriculture or construction. Now, now that you understand kind of what are the most important policies that Trump is going to do, what are the industries or sectors that will be winners under Trump? So the first one is defensive stocks. What are defensive stocks? They are considered safe havens because their products or services are essential, meaning that the demand won't change regardless of economic conditions. Think of like if there's suddenly a war or there's major inflation, people are still going to buy table salt, toilet paper, electricity. Like they're still going to use electricity. There's certain things in the industries that are not going to change whatever happens in the market. So um, that's why some of the sectors that you can watch. Obviously, the first one is healthcare. So, healthcare services and pharmaceutical companies are always in demand, um, especially as people are always prioritizing health, right? People are always going to get sick, they're always going to need medicine. So, it's a no brainer that these industries aren't going to be so affected, whatever happens. So, pay attention to healthcare companies and also utilities like electricity and water, which are essential services. Then we also have consumer staples, like I mentioned before, table salt, toilet paper, whatever you think that you order on a day-to-day basis that's not going to really change despite if your salary changes. Those are consumer staples. So this is how economic factors could affect them, right? So even if inflation does rise due to the tariffs or market uncertainty, these sectors will always maintain demand, and they might actually act as a protection during market volatility, which will attract more investors and stabilize the stock prices. So defensive stocks, keep an eye out for them. The second one is energy sector. So the energy sector is one of Trump's main important focuses because he prefers traditional energy such as oil, gas, and coal. So this is why they could benefit, right? So first is deregulation. Trump's policies aim to roll back environmental restrictions, which will reduce the operational costs for the traditional energy companies and allow them to expand and produce. And it will also increase in their oil demand because when there's more boosts in manufacturing and infrastructure, the energy demand will also grow, which will benefit companies in oil and gas. Now, how these economic factors will affect this industry. So, if demand rises and supply tightens due to any geopolitical tensions or policy shifts, energy prices could also increase, right? The only risk, though, that you have to keep in mind is be cautious on the specific energy. Traditional energy is going to be good, but renewable energy companies are going to probably be negatively impacted by this because Trump is not so pro renewable energy and it's probably going to reduce subsidies, which will hurt their growth. Third industry that will likely the third important sector that could benefit from Trump's administration is manufacturing and construction. This sector stands good to gain from Trump's focus on protectionist policies and domestic infrastructure development. I'm going to do this again. The third sector to look out for is manufacturing and construction. Because Trump is all about America first, they're going to focus on really building back the economy for the US. All right. And the reason being is under the policies for tariffs on imports, when Trump is going to be imposing tariffs on imported goods, like basically increasing the prices to import Chinese products, Trump aims to encourage the use of producing materials inside the US, which will benefit internal domestic American manufacturers that produce steel, the machines that will produce those primary products, and also construction materials. And these also stricter immigration policies could lead to labor shortages, as I mentioned before, which will drive companies to also invest into machines, automations, robotics to fill in the gap. So, something you need to keep in mind though is that this will have higher costs for imports. The tariffs will increase the cost for imported raw materials, right? Because if you think about importing plastic or steel from China, it's a lot cheaper. But if Trump is focusing on producing it in the US, obviously it's going to be more expensive to produce it inside the US. So this is going to increase the cost for the imports. And they would have to rely on basically US goods, which will also put a lot of pressure on salaries. There will be labor shortages, which will push wages higher, incentivizing companies to also automate more of their processes. This could imply also that there will be more AI, more automated machines involved. Then we have financial sector will also thrive due to the deregulation in some of the tax policies. For example, Trump plans to roll back quite a few financial regulations like the tax cuts, as I was mentioning before. Lowering corporate tax rates will mean higher net profits for bank and financial institutions. So some sectors to watch for the financial sectors, obviously the big banks, think JP Morgan, think Bank of America, and also asset management firms. And keep in mind also that this, as I mentioned before, and I just want to repeat it again, is that
the rising interest rates will also push government debt higher, um, which can be good and bad, but it could also be good for banks because it can increase their profitability when they're taking loans. Because when the interest rates are higher, they're going to make more money. So that's that. Then finally, we have the last sector, which is technology. All right. When there's going to be loosening regulations, a lot of the big tech giants can expand aggressively through acquisitions, and also lower corporate tax can free up cash for investment into research and development and strategic partnerships. So some industries you want to look out for is obviously big tech like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, which could benefit from the reduced regulatory regulations and increased consumer spending because the tax are going to go down. When taxes go down, people have more money to spend, and so they're going to spend more likely on like Amazon and all those products. And also don't forget semiconductor industries are also going to do super well, such as Nvidia and AMD. Now, now that you understand these connections between economic factors and industry performance, you can make informed decisions about where to invest during Trump's presidency. Each of these sectors are going to offer unique opportunities, but as always, remember to do your research and consider always to diversify and manage your risk. Now, now you're going to know, and that's something that you've been waiting for until now, which is what are the stocks to look out for now that you know what are the industries to look out for. So, the stocks to watch that are on my watch list under defensive stocks are going to be first in healthcare, we got Johnson and Johnson, Pfizer, and United Health Group. In utilities, it will be looking out for Duke Energy, Next Era Energy, and Dominion Energy. Then under consumer staples, we got Procter Gamble, Coca-Cola, and Walmart. Next up, we have the energy sector. So in oil and gas, keep an eye on ExxonMobil, Chevron, and ConocoPhillips. Under coal producers, we got Peabody Energy, Arch Resources, and in energy infrastructure, we got Kinder Morgan and Halliburton. Under manufacturing and construction industry, we want to consider some steels and primary materials such as Nuclear, United States Steel, Vulcan Materials. In construction equipment, maybe you guys have heard of Caterpillar, Deere & Co., Terex Corporation. And under automation and robotics, take a look at Rockwell Automation, ABB, and Emerson Electric. Then in the financial sector, under big banks, as I mentioned before, we got JP Morgan, Citigroup, and Goldman Sachs, and companies that are going to manage assets and investment firms. We got BlackRock, Charles Schwab, and Morgan Stanley. And under insurance companies, we got Aflac and Travelers Companies. Last but not least, under the technology sector, we got big tech. Obviously, we got Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Apple. Semiconductors, we got Nvidia, AMD, and Intel. And then under e-commerce and payment platforms, because people are going to probably spend more money, we got PayPal and Shopify. Now, before I continue on some important things, stick around to the last 1 or 2 minutes of the whole YouTube video because I'm going to drop a really nice surprise for you guys, which is something that I've never done before. So just stay tuned. Now that you've seen all these stock recommendations, I do want to put out a disclaimer, okay? There's a lot of opportunities in all these different sectors which are expected to thrive in Trump's policy. But you need to keep in mind that each individual company performance will depend on so many different factors like their own company, their competitors, their positioning. So consider to just make sure that you diversify to manage your risk. And last but not least, it is so important for you to also do your own research and due diligence before making any investment decisions. Because to succeed, you must consider not only just understanding the economics trend behind it, but you also need to know the technicals and timing. okay? When to enter, when to exit the market can significantly impact your returns. If you're just a few weeks late, maybe it will start going down, right? So you need to understand the timing. And every investment must align with your own risk tolerance and your financial goals. What would work for me or my clients or you might not work for someone else. So if you're unsure, make sure that you have a mentor or some type of financial advisor that could provide personalized guidance.
Now, I just saved you 20 hours of research, and now you know where to invest during this critical time. But here's the reality: knowing the right stocks isn't enough. To succeed, you need to master fundamental analysis and technical analysis, which are the key skills that will separate the winners from everyone else. All the women that I've worked with started out just like you. They watched hundreds of YouTube videos, they read analyst reports, and they follow stock recommendations. Yet, they still lose money because they didn't have a strategy. Because without a clear plan, you'll keep making the same mistakes. And here's the difference between doing this by yourself and following the strategy that worked for me and over 150 women. In just 8 weeks, my students have consistently achieved double-digit returns every single month. They follow proven strategies and they see real results. So if you want to learn how to do the same, click the link in the caption to get started. Now, you got less than 60 days before the inauguration date, which will be your last opportunity to buy before prices surge even higher. So don't wait this time. If you're ready for a clear strategy and want to avoid unnecessary mistakes and work with a mentor who has given you stellar results where the average return is 20%, click the link in the description and join Luna now. And for the next 4 days, I will be offering a $500 discount to join Luna plus another $500 free cash for you to invest in any stocks that you want. I've never done this before, but I'm going to do this because I want to help as many women as possible to get started. And you gotta make the most out of this once in a lifetime opportunity. So if you found this video helpful, drop some love in the comments, give a like, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.